The room went quiet the moment he said, "Not today." Forks stopped. Eyes lifted. She stood there calm, holding her ID card between two trembling fingers. His badge glistened beneath the diner lights, his authority unchallenged until now. "You're not serving her," he said again, and the waitress froze, caught between fear and morality. The air turned heavy, like truth itself was waiting to speak. Maya's voice didn't rise. It cut through the silence like glass. "You think your badge decides who's worthy?" The officer smirked, but his hands shook. "What if the truth cost you everything? Would you still speak up if the world stayed quiet?" The clock ticked loud, counting seconds of injustice. And then she placed her card on the counter. It read Public Defender, State of Georgia. The tables turned in that single breath. The badge that denied her service now faced the law she represented. But this time she didn't stay silent. Whispers filled the diner after she left. Some said she embarrassed him. Others said she provoked him. But the truth was simpler. She didn't bow. In a town where silence kept peace, one voice had cracked the routine. Lena, the waitress, stood at the window, watching Maya walk into the sunlight. "What if justice wears no badge?" she whispered, though no one answered. The officer sat alone now, untouched coffee cooling beside him. His reflection in the window looked smaller, stripped of command. He replayed the moment again and again. The card, her tone, her calm. Authority was supposed to silence people like her. But she spoke with something stronger than rank. Truth. By evening, someone had uploaded the clip. A shaky phone video, 15 seconds long, was all it took. The caption read, "Officer denies service to black woman. Watch what she does next." Within hours, it spread across timelines and headlines. Truth had finally found its audience. That night, Maya sat in her car, headlights off, watching the diner's neon sign flicker. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. Some victories are quiet, heavy, unfinished. The town was awake now, but not ready. Still, in her stillness there was power. The kind that doesn't shout. The kind that changes everything. By morning, the diner was buzzing in a way it hadn't before. Phones out. People replaying the video, whispering about what they had seen. Maya's calm defiance became a symbol overnight. Officer Morton tried to speak, to justify himself, but words faltered under the weight of a viral truth. Every share, every comment, every headline chipped away at the illusion of his authority. The town's quiet judgment had awakened. How do you fight racism when it hides behind a smile? Who watches the watchers when the law itself bends? And yet, amidst the noise, Maya stayed quiet, letting truth speak louder than any defense. Outside, the town murmured. Social media exploded. Half celebrated Maya's courage, half defended Morton's authority. Lena, the waitress, scrolled through comments on her phone, heart racing. She had witnessed the event firsthand, yet seeing it online magnified the stakes. The world was now watching, and she realized silence was no longer safe. Every like, every share, every finger pointing reminded the town that the old rules no longer applied. Morton retreated to the police station, replaying video in his mind. Each frame revealed more than just his mistake. It revealed him. Pride, fear, prejudice, all etched into the way he raised his voice. The way he pointed his finger. He called his colleagues, seeking validation, but even they hesitated. The uniform no longer shielded him. Truth had pierced the armor. Maya returned to work at the public defender's office, her mind heavy but steady. Calls came from news agencies, colleagues, even strangers. She didn't answer most of them. The story wasn't about fame. It was about accountability. Each unanswered call was a reminder that justice moves in its own rhythm. The public had a story, yes, but she had her mission. And it didn't need amplification. It needed truth. By evening, the diner's video had become a spark. People were talking at tables, sharing opinions and fears. questioning authority. Morton's embarrassment was now public, undeniable. And Lena, watching the storm unfold from behind the counter, realized something profound. Witnessing is one thing, acting is another. Silence had consequences. Injustice could no longer hide in plain sight. Investigation papers stacked high on Morton's desk, yet the questions gnawed at him more than the evidence. Colleagues whispered in hallways, unsure whether to side with law or truth. Every replay of the video reminded him that authority was fragile, that the uniform could no longer shield arrogance. Maya's calm had ignited suspicion, shame, and fear all at once. He had underestimated one thing: the power of witnessing and the courage to act. Maya walked into the courtroom the next day, her steps deliberate, her presence quiet but commanding. Clients and colleagues glanced at her, sensing the shift. The town's whispers followed her like a shadow. She didn't speak of the incident. She didn't need to. Her reputation carried the weight of her actions, proving that integrity speaks louder than protest. The world had watched, and now it judged. Morton's nights became restless. Each sound, a door slam, a car horn, a phone notification, felt like judgment. His badge no longer gleamed. It weighed. He tried to justify, to reason, to rationalize. But inside, a quiet voice he had long ignored whispered, "You crossed a line." Even his closest allies started to look away, embarrassed or unsure. The town's trust had eroded, one viral clip at a time. Lena, the waitress, replayed the incident over and over in her mind. She had frozen in fear, unsure how to act, unsure if her voice mattered. But watching the town respond, seeing the ripple effect, she began to understand the cost of silence. Each conversation she overheard, each comment she read online, chipped away at her fear. Courage, she realized, was contagious, and the moment for action was approaching. By week's end, the town was divided. Morton's reputation was fractured, his authority questioned openly. Conversations erupted in stores, churches, and homes. Yet Maya remained focused, observing patiently. The power of truth wasn't loud. It was relentless. It moved slowly, like water wearing down stone, until even the strongest defenses cracked. She had set emotion in motion that could not be stopped. Protesters gathered outside the diner, fists raised, voices loud, signs trembling in the wind. Morton's friends called for calm, but the town had reached a tipping point. Every headline, every share, every whispered judgment fueled the anger and the hope alike. Lena watched from the window, heart pounding. This wasn't just about one officer. It was about every silent witness, every denied voice, every injustice left unchallenged. The world was no longer willing to look away. The police union issued statements defending Morton, calling it a misunderstanding. But the town wasn't listening. The video, relentless in its clarity, had already exposed what words could not. The raw, unfiltered prejudice that lurked behind the badge. Every attempt at spin only deepened the public outrage. The line between authority and accountability had been drawn in plain sight. Inside the diner, tensions ran high. Regulars whispered, some taking sides, some silently judging. Lena felt the weight of her own indecision pressing down. She realized, by staying quiet, she had let fear control her. Now the moment to act had arrived. Courage, she knew, required more than watching. It demanded choice. Morton's phone buzzed non-stop. News channels, social media, angry citizens. Each ring, each notification was a reminder that authority no longer protected him. The badge that once silenced voices now made him the center of scrutiny. He realized that power without accountability was fragile, and for the first time, he felt exposed, unshielded, human. Then it happened. A hidden recording surfaced. Morton's colleague admitting the officer's prejudice, describing how he had decided who deserved service. The room, the town, the world. It all shifted. The union's excuses crumbled. The silence of bystanders turned into accountability. The public's anger transformed into evidence. and Lena, watching, finally understood. Justice doesn't wait for courage. It rewards it. The diner had gone quiet. The footage was everywhere, undeniable. Morton's colleagues' confession replayed in every home, every phone, every conversation. The weight of truth pressed down on him like a storm. Maya stood at the center, unshaken, letting the evidence speak. No anger, no theatrics, just truth. The town watched, breathless. Every lie, every half-truth, every excuse had been stripped away, and in that silence, justice began its work. News crews arrived, flashing lights, turning the small diner into a stage. Morton tried to respond, but words failed him. He realized that truth had power the badge never could. Every gesture of justification only revealed more of his own failure. The town had changed in a single week, and no statement could turn back the clock. Silence had ended, and voices would not be silenced again. Inside, Lena felt a tremor of relief and awe. She had been a witness, a bystander, but now she saw courage in action. Maya's quiet dignity had shifted the balance. People who once feared speaking up were beginning to murmur, to question, to demand change. The ripple of one woman's calm defiance had become a wave the town could no longer ignore. Morton's colleagues had begun distancing themselves. His reputation collapsed quietly but completely. The badge, once a shield, now felt heavier than ever. The power he thought he had was gone. In its place, a reckoning he had never anticipated. Justice had arrived not as a shout, but as a calm, unyielding truth. And in its presence, he felt small, exposed, and unmistakably human. At a town meeting, Maya spoke, not to accuse, but to illuminate. Her words carried the weight of reason and the grace of integrity. "This isn't about hate," she said, voice steady. "It's about truth." The room, tense and uncertain, absorbed her message. The officer sat humiliated. The town awakened, and Lena felt the weight of her own courage. Change had begun, not with anger, but with the quiet insistence of justice finally being seen. The suspension letter arrived quietly at Morton's desk. No fanfare, no excuses, just the cold weight of accountability. He sat staring at it, fingers tracing the embossed seal, realizing the badge could no longer protect him. Maya's calm defiance had ignited consequences he could no longer control. The town had shifted and the rules had changed. Justice had found its rhythm, and even authority had to listen. At the diner, tables once divided by fear now hummed with conversation. Strangers spoke openly, neighbors questioned habits, and whispers turned to declarations. Lena, standing behind the counter, realized that the ripple Maya had created was transforming the town. Courage, she understood, spread not by shouting, but by persistence and truth. The diner, once a silent witness, had become a stage for awakening. Morton's colleagues, once protective, now spoke cautiously. Even the union began to distance itself, unable to defend actions now documented beyond debate. The officer had been exposed to himself, to the town, to history. Every choice he made afterward was measured against the truth he had ignored. Accountability, once abstract, became a tangible weight pressing down on him. The town had begun to heal in fits and starts. Conversations previously avoided now surfaced at dinner tables, at playgrounds, at workplaces. Lena noticed small changes: acknowledgement instead of silence, dialogue instead of avoidance. Maya watched from a distance, knowing her work didn't end with punishment. It began with awareness. Change, slow and deliberate, had arrived. Morton finally understood what it meant to be seen. His actions, once hidden behind uniform and authority, had consequences that reached beyond him. For the first time, he felt accountable, not to the badge, but to the people. And as he glanced at Maya passing by the diner, calm and resolute, he knew the lesson was inescapable. Injustice cannot thrive when truth stands unflinching. The town hall was packed. Every eye on Morton, age 45, as he stepped forward with hesitance and humility. The badge that once demanded silence now demanded accountability. Maya, age 33, sat in the front row, calm, unwavering, letting him face the truth. His voice shook, not from anger but from understanding. The first real admission of guilt he had offered. Redemption had arrived, fragile, yet undeniable. He spoke slowly, voice catching in places. "I was wrong," he admitted. "I let fear, pride, and prejudice guide me. I apologize." The room held its breath. Not everyone forgave, but the truth had been delivered. Maya's gaze never wavered. She didn't nod. She didn't smile. Her presence alone was acknowledgement enough. Justice had been served, but mercy could still exist. Lena, age 26, felt tears well in her eyes. She had been a witness, hesitant and fearful, but now courage seemed contagious. The town had witnessed confrontation, accountability, and finally, redemption. Change wasn't instantaneous. It was painstaking, human, and real. And Lena understood. Action, even delayed, could ripple outward in ways the timid heart could never predict. Outside the diner, Morton waited as Maya approached. The air was thick with tension and anticipation. He held the door open, a silent gesture of acknowledgement. Maya walked past him, calm and composed, understanding that the world had shifted. The town had seen accountability, courage, and the possibility of redemption. Even small gestures mattered when truth and humility guided them. The neon lights flickered overhead as Maya sat inside the diner once more. Morton lingered nearby, not as authority, but as a man humbled. Lena poured coffee, smiling softly, witnessing the small, quiet reconciliation. The town had learned that justice was not only about punishment. It was about courage, accountability, and the courage to change. And in that moment, the tables had fully turned, not through anger, but through truth and redemption.